Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, April 16th, and we're kind of busting through all of these daily quests, which is good. The easier daily quests seem like they're going to play and work a little bit better. This is play 30 warrior cards for 60 or play 20 warlock cards. So let's roll that. So we've got warrior and warrior. And then pirates. Do we have a playable warrior game we can play? This will be the one thing that helps me. Let's try this in range deck and just play ranked. Like now that I actually have to get victories, this will help me drag along this this recording. But we may only do 2 recordings today. Which that's fine. There's been tons of times where we've done 4 or 5 recordings. I'm so far ahead on Hearthstone. Even now that I'm going to start scheduling it to release daily. Which some of that has started happening. And let me know on any feedback. But some of my show, like one of my content has come out on Saturday and Sundays now. Just every single day. There'll be 1 episode. If you fall behind, apologies. You can probably find a day on the weekend or someday every week to watch 2 episodes. They're 30-minute episodes, and that's the other thing I'm looking for feedback on, is that, like, should I go back to 45-minute episodes? I kind of prefer it. It certainly hurt my experience playing Darksiders 2 by doing 30-minute episodes, because you don't really accomplish anything in 30 minutes in that game. I'm looking at a game called Voyage Sinkai VR, and it's the only game from this developer. It's free, so it's early access. What's funny about this is this looks like it's a boat game, like a Chinese boat game. The 2 negative reviews say it's a confusing mess, so I can't recommend it. The other one says I can't recommend it. You step on the loading screen, which is beautiful by the way, then you stepped in what you expect to be a nice calm tutorial. Above the dreaded music repeating over and over, you get a guy with even worse access. No offense, it's a beautiful accent, but just not for in-game instructions trying to explain what to do. So it sounds like there's a bad intro experience on it right now. Early access. This game does look rather beautiful. I don't know why this is free, and I don't know why this is VR though. And I don't know how much of a game this will be after it comes out of early access. So you can't really recommend. Oh, that I am fairly certain is a stolen asset of a cross, because I have seen that art asset before. Well, I don't want to really make any allegations I can't prove, but a lot of this looks really good, and that is a little suspicious from a new company, new Chinese company making this Chinese VR game. Is VR like way more popular in China? Do people have tons of copies of VR? I don't think so, but whatever. Let's see. Next game we have came out the 16th. It's called Horror Fish Simulator, and it's clearly an asset flip. It's an asset flip combining like total garbage. You're playing as a zombie and fishing. Like, if this was a well-polished joke of an idea and an actual game, that would be kind of interesting. But no, It's just some idiot wasting his money flooding Steam with asset flip garbage things, and there's really no reason to talk about those kind of games. So I'll just not talk about those kind of games. Let's see. DNA, spelled D-E-N-A, and Spike Chunsoft, Mysterious Dungeon Team, have announced a roguelike RPG called Sekimatsu Days Our Era's End for smartphones. It's probably going to be Japan only as a free-to-play with item-based microtransactions. I know it's going to be free-to-play and item-based microtransactions, but I don't doubt it's going to come to the West. I probably need some feedback on whether people care about cell phone games, particularly cell phone games that are only going to be available in Japan. I'm not sure what the process really would even be to try and cheat or convince a cell phone that you are in Japan and thus able to install those type of games. Let's see. PC Gamer has an article, Tower of Time ventures out of early access, an old school RPG with real-time combat. Yeah, I don't know why you would really want to play a game like that instead of a game like Tower of Time instead of Torchlight or Torchlight 2, which is, it's pretty much the same game. And Torchlight is from the creators of the original Diablo. This one says it's a C RPG. What does that mean? Is that a Chinese RPG? 65 achievements. Probably not too many for an RPG game. Yeah, there's nothing really wrong with this game. And so I shouldn't just ignore it for the fact that I already have something better. It's rated very positive, 85% of 107 users. Or maybe perhaps if, yeah, that's right. In the past 30 days. So maybe this has better controller support or something too. That could certainly be an issue. Yeah, I guess I can't dismiss it. It's $24.99, Tower of Time. It's from the developer Event Horizon, who has only one game on Steam. So let's go ahead and do this and this. I guess we'll just move on, and I'll put that on my wish list. And I'm gonna, of course, have to be really careful about buying any RPGs or trying to play any RPGs, considering I'm killing myself playing Darksiders 2 as an RPG, and then I'm trying to struggle to play Borderlands 2, which is an RPG. I mean, it's just never going to stop if I'm not careful. It'll take up my entire life. Next story, we have Wonder Gravity opening movie, Sega's upcoming smartphone adventure RPG. Well, let's watch this. Looks like chibi anime girls and a guy flying in a airship of some. And its opening trailer looks full anime, because it is fully animated. So I doubt there's any gameplay in this at all. So you really don't get anything from a trailer like that, other than this is a Sega game. And Sega, I think I already talked about it, has sort of re-entered the hardware console business by announcing a Sega Genesis Mini, which we kind of all saw that coming. I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation has a PlayStation 1 Mini that comes out. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Dreamcast Mini that comes out. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo pushes it as high as the GameCube And by the time they get around to the GameCube, I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with a Wii Mini also. I think if you went any higher than the Wii as a mini version, you would probably be stepping over on the toes of games that could have just been re-released on the Switch. Next game we have is a game called Secret Little Haven. Let's see, one review. It's an adventure indie. It looks like you're playing the game on a TV. Like, so both the left and right of the screen is black bars, and the entire screen is curved like a curved glass tube TV. And the actual screen you're looking at looks like it's just this pinkish operating system of some sort. And I don't know if there's an actual game here or not. It says an adventure game about old computers, community, creativity, fandom, gender, and identity. Alex Cole is a teenage trans girl in 1999 who's yet to figure out herself out. Here, let me play a card before I read more of this. Man, you can't go a week. You can't go a week without some kind of virtue signaling article or game. Somebody may have retweeted this out since I follow all the video game creators. Let's see, when did this come out? February 27, 2018. And it's the only game from this developer. It's $4.99. For the incredibly small percentage of people that the statistics say are transgendered, there's way too much interest in telling their stories. The danger here, and I'm trying to say this as kind as possible, is that you're going to make it in the same way that we did with the blaxploitation movies or the Asian movies, like kung fu movies. Kung fu took all of thousands and thousands years of culture of many different Asian countries and boiled it down into just kung fu fighting movies. And that's kind of all people knew, and it's over glamorized, it's not realistic, and it allowed a lot of stereotypes to be played. There is a danger of thinking you're being helpful and really just continuing to propagate stereotypes and make transgender people feel like they are special, different. That's exactly the opposite of what they want to feel like. The reason why there's so many of these games is I think there's probably a higher number of people who are transgendered, or at least say they are, in the California area, and where people make games, and so they're telling their own stories. Like, this description really is just a stopper. Like, the rest of this, like, if you hadn't thrown in gender, and if you hadn't thrown in teenage trans girl, the rest of the story plays out, the rest of this description plays out exactly the same. This was just some teenage girl on forums and on the internet. Like, and you kind of spoiled the twist there. Like, look at Gone Home. Like, the whole twist there is that a sister comes home and finds out that her sister is a lesbian and has been having this romantic affair and dealing with these feelings for a long time, and she decides to run off with her girlfriend instead of join the military, which was kind of a weird a weird twist, a weird two options, kind of, but whatever. If Gone Home had been sold to me as just a pro-gay game, pro-lesbian game from the beginning, I would not have probably been interested in it at all. Here's an article talking about the top 5 games, just top 10 games on Steam, I guess is what they're talking about. Don't really need to do that. Anyways, I want to move on. I keep getting pulled down. It's like the mob. I thought I was out, and then they pull me back into these same rants, and I'm not accomplishing anything really about it. It's just irritating, and so I want to let my opinion be known. But gosh, it's irritating talking about it. I miss the good old days when, from 1983 to, let's say, 2015, like maybe that. Maybe I made it all the way to 2015 without hearing any stories about any of this stuff. Like, here's that Gameatsu article if you want to read it. Female game devs in South Korea are being harassed for their feminist beliefs. Feminist female game developers in South Korea are being targeted by Twitter users in an attempt to push out anti-social ideology. And I think they're kind of right. Assuming that there's a little room for translation in the quote of anti-social ideology. SJWs are literally antisocial. They are. They want to start fights on every corner, and that's why I keep seeing articles over and over again. Here's a quote at the bottom here. I'm from Korea, and this article has a vital error to fix. The ideology that female devs believe in is not a normal feminism, it's radical feminism in Korea. The believers insult Korean male, commit sexual harassment against young and old male people, and sometimes actually commit gender hate crimes, especially targeting younger boys. They are not for women's rights, but for bullying men altogether. Please review the situation here and create and edit the article. This is not an issue of discrimination against women. It's a fight about a toxic ideology. So that's exactly what I thought it was. Now, do I believe the commenter here? Because what he said matches what I suspected and my already held beliefs. I have to always challenge my beliefs and try to keep an open mind. And see, this article was by Emma Kidwell, and when I click on her name, she has nothing else to even say. Let's see. She quotes it from a Yahoo Philippines article, and doesn't even seem like there's comments allowed on the Yahoo Philippines article. So yeah, let's just keep on playing. Next article, Eurogamer. Sega Aegis Sonic, Phantasy Star Online, and Alex Kidd are headed to the Switch. What is Sega Aegis Sonic? I know Phantasy Star. I guess that's Phantasy Star 1, and maybe not Phantasy Star Online. And I know Alex Kidd. The company's Sega Aegis brand, starting with Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay. So, this article headline is written wrong. Is what the problem here. It should be Sega Aegis, and it's apostrophe for some reason. Sonic, Phantasy Star, and Alex Kidd headed to Nintendo Switch. Wow. Can't even get the English right. One of these days I'm going to make that claim and turn out to be wrong. Almost certainly. It's not like I'm good at writing or English either. So like some really, really old Sega games are coming to the Switch. No big surprise because there's been a decent amount of like, what was I talking about? Bad English, yeah. There's a lot of times I've messed up on saying things, pronouncing things, and spelling things. And a lot of things I just didn't probably learn in English class. Casey Hudson from, I suppose, BioWare says Mass Effect Andromeda failure has refocused BioWare. The studio general manager has stated that on a new blog looking at the development of Anthem and beyond. That's kind of a non-statement and a duh statement. It's like, oh no, duh. The game that you had canceled early and that came out horrible reception caused you to refocus. The only thing you could say opposite of this is, we did not consider the failure of Mass Effect Andromeda at all in the development of our next game. That would be even worse. That would mean Mass Effect Andromeda 2 is coming out under the name of Anthem. That would be really dumb. This is one of those PC Gamer articles you don't need to read just because it's obvious. Let's see, let's keep moving forward. Mothership Entertainment is hiring a senior engineer. Mothership Entertainment is the Austin, Texas company. They've been hiring quite a lot. Avian Colony is the game they're trying to make. That's what their website is, and there's no other games in development. I think if you're going to start a game company, and this is probably one of those companies that has in the back of their mind the thought that they will get acquired. But if you're going to start a company that makes video games, I think you need to have 2 or 3 projects in mind, or some demos or something you can put on your website. Hiring people that are going to come in after looking at your website and assume they're only working on one game is going to be annoying, because you're going to lose potential good candidates. If I wanted to work for this company because they were in Austin, Texas, which distance is often a reason for looking for a job, is it close to me? Can I actually work in that area? Not that I live anywhere near Austin, Texas. I'm just saying, for example, the last thing you'd want to have is half of your applicants go look at your website and say, nah, I'm not going to apply to this because I don't want to work on Avian Colony. I want to work on a first-person shooter. Even if there is like a first-person shooter being in development, because there's no indication of that, it's not a good look for your company. And it also doesn't look good on your company to look like you're a one-hit wonder at best, even that. Next article we have is PC Gamer article. Terraforming Mars Digital is a quick playing alternative to the tabletop version. Am I in the mood to play a card game? I guess it really doesn't matter because it's not even out yet. It's due to release this quarter, and so I take that with a grain of salt. This card tabletop game looks like it is a slight improvement over something like the Ticket to Ride conversions of board games to a card game. There's more numbers, more systems I can see around the edges with like indicators. I guess I just have to give it some deep thought about whether I would want to play a card game anytime soon. And I guess there's really no reason why I'd want to play Terraforming Mars. It's not a game I've ever heard of. Like, I got really into that YouTube channel, the Geek and Sundry YouTube show Tabletop, for the first season with Will Wheaton. Shut up, Wesley. I feel like everybody on the internet has to say that after they say Will Wheaton. But like, that got me into the realm of tabletop games, but I wasn't actually ever playing any of them with anybody, so I was just watching people on the internet play tabletop games, and with the editing that Tabletop did, it was kind of cool. But then they kind of had to storyboard some interesting dialogue too, otherwise it became rather boring, and eventually it just became boring no matter what. So now that I'm kind of recovered from that slight addiction of tabletop games, I don't really want to play too many on PC or anywhere else. I'll do the Game of Life. I'll do Monopoly. I'll do Clue. I love Cluedo. But if it's some new German board game that a vast majority of people haven't played, that's crazy. When you think about the idea of infiltration, PAX really infiltrated board games into the digital video game sphere. Was it a bad thing or a good thing, or does it matter at all? I don't know. But absolutely it's true that you would not at PAX they have these rentable board games, and you try to get random strangers to play board games with you, and because it's really, really hard to get people to come to a game night and spend 4 to 8 hours playing a long, complicated board game. To be fair, the Penny Arcade Expo was always a little bit of everything, so that's, I guess, what would have happened regardless. You would have always had some blending, and there was probably some blending of board game players and video game players. I personally kind of feel like there should be a little bit more gatekeeping there. If you're going to a video game convention, I think for the most part, I would prefer it to be almost all video games. Like, I'm not even really a fan of cosplay in the way cosplay infiltrates every convention ever, regardless of what you're doing. I would much prefer there be cosplay only conventions, or they keep it to one side, which they mostly do. Anyways, I'm wasting time with that rant, and that's really just personal opinions more than something I really care about. There's a game called Revenant is Endless Dawn that came out April 14th. It is mostly negative. 20% of 10 users are positive in the last 30 days. Why is this game so negative? Because it looks really like a Gears of War first-person shooter Halo game. It's single player only. It's rated M according to this. I don't know if I believe it. It's early access, 30% off for $13.99. So, what are the negative reviews? Let's see. The first review says, I think you need to go back to the drawing board and look at how you price your game. I purchased both versions and both can only be considered as demos, not as add-ons to a game. 10 minutes is not enough for the money you're asking people to pay. The graphics, layout, shadows, and sound are really good in the first demo, but you would think after 3 or 4 months you would have gotten better and further progression. So I think we can see why it's all negative. They're selling 10-15 minute demos. This is a VR game. Here's a review. Really, I paid $13.99 for a 5-minute demo game, and graphics were real good, but sure as hell not worth $14. So yeah, you can see why people wouldn't like this. As good as the graphics look, heck, even if it was straight up porn, live action VR porn, 15 minutes wouldn't be worth $15. So, Robonet Endless Dawn ripoff. Next game we have is called Ark, The Lost Fairy Tale, not related to the Ark Survival Evolved series, as best as I can tell. It looks like it's an RPG Maker game, so really don't have anything else that I need to say. Let's see. They're saying it's an exploration game, so it's not even really a game at that point. 10% off for $2.69. Do we have anybody that reviewed it? No, because nobody would be stupid enough to buy this game. RPG Maker games just need to be banned. Just ban them all completely on Steam. Like, even if you could name 10 good RPG Maker games that are on Steam, we can lose them. We can afford to lose them all. Let's see, we've got Bayless Warlock. Oh. He asks, do you think Hearthstone is boring now? Card pool is low and game does not feel fun. Plus rewards are terrible for any sort of ranking. I assume you mean the rewards as far as winning stars and getting up high in ranking, because now you have to get 5 stars even at the lower rank. There is exactly my feelings in your statement. I think Hearthstone is boring now more than ever. I thought Hearthstone was boring probably a year ago. But people like to watch it, and it lets me talk about the news, so that gives me this. And it does feel like a lot of people are going to have to go to Wild only. Like, playing Standard, all 3 of my accounts are free to play, and my oldest account that's free to play really doesn't have enough cards to of the new Witchwood expansion to make anything interesting, and my newest 2 accounts, the European and Asian accounts, don't have anything in them to make the game interesting. So I'm thinking all of the accounts are probably going to go to Wild eventually, and that seems the exact opposite of what Blizzard wanted, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe really what they wanted to do is let Standard be for the new players, if they're going to ever get any new players, which maybe they don't get that many new players in the first place. The Whisper of the Old Gods, and I think that was the latest expansion, and with that going away, with goblins and gnomes, I believe, Mean Streets of Gadgetzan going away, like all of the interesting crazy cards. The only crazy card we have right now that anybody's talking about is Shutterwalk, and they're talking about changing that. So yeah, I do think it's boring. I think people can go to Wild, and that's pretty much it. The card pool is very low, but I do have a suggestion for you. Go to my Twitter account that's listed down below in the description. I tweeted out a mod that takes off the clothes of the female characters for Hearthstone. The female heroes and the female cards. So there is a Hearthstone nude mod. If you think Hearthstone is boring, turn that on. I think you'll find it a little bit more interesting if you can get away with that. Only do this if you're of appropriate age and or you're not going to get in trouble with your parents. I take no responsibility for this bad, potentially child corrupting suggestion I'm making. Tragic Master says, I play meme decks and Wild, so Hearthstone is always fun. Let's see. Particularly Witchwood, I felt like didn't let me make any kind of crazy decks that I wanted to make, or do anything different. It felt like I'm mostly just doing those strategies of, does this card have a higher value than this card? Do I need to go to a website and look at my decks? We tried Hearthstone Replay.net. I'm going to have to go back through all those and see if maybe I can get some better decks. I would like to be able to play in Standard on my main account and work up in Ranked and get up to maybe rank 10 or higher. That'd be really nice, but I also don't want to put a lot of I don't want to put so much effort into Hearthstone either. I play it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because of news and because of the daily quests. If the daily quests change, so more overlap, so you could get, say, 6 daily quests, I would stream a lot less often, and I'm sure people wouldn't really like that. Lemon Lover came on and said, Rydo, are you a Nintendo boy or Sega boy? And then Tragic Master said, warning, lemon scent detected. And then Lemon Lover said, isn't a great scent sniff? So undoubtedly I was a Nintendo fanboy, because I have a garage full of Nintendo collectibles and games and things that I plan to eventually give away to a museum, assuming it's not all ruined by now. But I am certainly not a Nintendo fan now, and that did not move me in a direction at all to be a Sega fan. I had a friend who had a Sega Genesis, Sega CD, so many Sega games, and I liked some of the games that he showed me on the Sega. I really never had that kind of hate for it. If I was given both the Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, I would have been fine. When I did my retro project, which was a bunch of retro games from like Nintendo and Sega, there was really no loyalty there at all. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, this is the way it should have always been. It's like there should have been one console with the good Sega games and the good Nintendo games. And nowadays, how can you possibly really be a fan of Nintendo so much? You can't do it. Like, and you certainly can't be a Sega fanboy these days, because there's just barely any good Sega games that come out, and there's no console to compete with it. I played Nintendo. I played on the Wii, and after the Wii, that was probably the last Nintendo console where I was actually playing games. Eventually, I stopped having time to play games on the Wii. Eventually, I hacked the Wii to play homebrew games, and I got more into hacking the homebrew channel onto the Wii. And then, after kind of taking a break from playing games, I got the Xbox 360. For a while there, I'd just run out of time in my life and just didn't have time to play games at all, and it rather sucked. But when I got back into it, I was on the Xbox 360, and after playing the Xbox 360, I transitioned to the PC. And so now, I guess I'm mostly, you would say, PC Master Race stuff, like that, PC fanboy. But I'm really not a fanboy of any of the consoles. If Nintendo games were on PC, I would love to play them, except for the fact that they content ID everything on YouTube. But as Toys R Us is going out of business right now, like, I was considering maybe getting a Nintendo Switch just for fun. I wouldn't be able to make any content on it, but it seems like the Nintendo and the video game consoles aren't ever really going to be discounted by much. So let's see. What is this going to do? +1 attack. This one will die for sure. And do this. Okay. And do this. And do this. Then attack here. And attack here. And I win. Let's see. Lemon Lover said, "My boy Nintendo 100%. What, Rydo? You became the coolest person ever." Well, the Switch has brought back my love for Nintendo, but I try to collect retro Nintendo items, and I love anything from the NES to GameCube. Rydo, come on. Yes, you can be a Nintendo fan. The Switch is amazing. I would totally take a Switch if somebody wants to give me a Switch, but when you look at like the price of a GTX 1080 and what I need to do to maintain my channel, and how I look at my channel as kind of my legacy of something that I'm hoping will last forever, like decades past the point where I pass on from old age. So now I need to play Pirates. There's an investment there. I've already bought a computer. I've already invested in all of this stuff. I guess I'll play this Pirates deck since I need to play Pirates. That seems logical. So, like, if I got the Switch, it would almost be a toilet console. Like, not to get gross, but it's the type of thing you're just gonna play while sitting on the toilet, and not something that I would ever make content with. And so I would have this competition. Like, I already have issues where I'm playing a slightly boring game that I'm covering, and there are other games I could be playing, and I have to force myself to play the game I really don't want to play. If I had a Nintendo Switch, that would only make it more difficult. But I don't think I'd ever be a Nintendo fan, because when you take a step back and look at Nintendo as a business, they have always been kind of a jerk company. They just had a lot of nostalgia and like, I don't know, young love attached to them. Your first console obsessive love. Like, Nintendo was the company in the NES that bullied every other video game company to make games to their standards and their level of quality, or they don't get the Nintendo seal of quality. And if they don't have the Nintendo seal of quality, then you can only sell your game as some kind of bootleg somewhere that most retail salesmen wouldn't hold on to. Nintendo was the company that also made specific like warranty and repair shops, so they kind of made a monopoly on repairing the NES. Nintendo is heavily backed. I mean, Nintendo in Japan almost went out of business if it weren't for the fact that the Yakuza liked the cards, the actual playing cards they were making before video games. I suspect Nintendo is still probably at least partially owned by the Yakuza, but I mean, how could you ever prove it? And Nintendo says they have decades and decades of money. The reason they have decades and decades of money, assuming that is true, is because they overcharged for video games really high. They had a very high licensing fee. As we go into the later years of things that Nintendo did, if you try to put any content whatsoever of YouTube on YouTube of any gameplay, Nintendo claims copyright and takes all your money and robs little kids of their potential pennies of monetization that they probably wouldn't have ever gotten anyways. But they're so bad about that, they literally claim trailers, which are fair use. You cannot copyright a trailer or an advertisement. But they tried to claim Mario vs. Rabbids at the E3 conference, the trailer that was played on the screen at the E3 conference, as their own. And that doesn't even belong to Nintendo. Look at the policies and what it is required. If you do want to stream Nintendo games, you have to make a separate channel. You have to get pre-approval. You can only play certain games. You have to give at least 30% of the 70% advertising cut that you were getting before to Nintendo. So you would go down from getting 30% taken off from YouTube to another 30% taken off by Nintendo, which leaves you with 40% of the advertising revenue, just because Nintendo refuses to admit that fair use exists or follow the laws of the land, which would be the US copyright laws, not the Japanese copyright laws. And they're kind of a scumbag company. They just have managed not to do it. It's kind of like that Channel Awesome thing. I really don't have too much to say about that, since it's not like the hashtag change the channel thing. But I was into Nostalgia Critic. Like, I was watching him and I thought he was fine, and then I hear all these horrible things, and I'm left bemused that all these horrible things were going in the background. And then on top of all of the horrible things that normally happen, I think a lot of the accusations, which in that like 60-page document of complaints against Channel Awesome, a lot of those were kind of childish and just like unprofessional complaints surrounded by some very serious complaints. And one of the things that I've heard is part of the thing is that Lindsay Ellis had a clique within Channel Awesome, and so she was being very childish, and so when she left, this is in part of her being her childish response. So, like, the producers were bad, the management was bad. It seems like everybody's childish, everybody's in the cliques. Apparently, as Gamergate was happening, Lindsay Ellis and everybody who wasn't even actually a gamer were getting on their internal forums and arguing different perspectives of Gamergate, and it's like, well, why are you even bringing this up? You're not even the gamer people. The gamer people had long since stopped talking to any of the other Channel Awesome producers. So, yeah, what was my point there? I think my point was, yeah, there's some things to know about Nintendo that they'd prefer you didn't know about Nintendo. It's not as bad as Channel Awesome. That's probably a bad comparison. But the worship, the love, all of that stuff that I felt when I was a kid too. People need to get over that. Be realistic. This is a company that has been taking money away from kids and overcharging kids for decades. They are as bad as Hasbro, which is selling you what should be a public domain Monopoly board game for decades. Excuse me. I've been talking way too much. I need to take a week off of not recording anything. All toy companies are out to do something really nasty just at their core. They're taking money away from parents by getting kids to whine and complain and beg for toys that the kids won't even care about in a year. It's consumerism at its worst. There are entire organizations trying to stop kids from seeing commercials. Kids who watch YouTube tend to see a lot less toy commercials and things. And that's probably not a major factor as to why Toys R Us is going out of business, but it's kind of a good thing. Even my beloved Lego, which I'm obsessed with, charges way too much money for little bits of plastic. You can't really argue against it. So yeah, be critical. Look at Nintendo with a critical eye. Like their games when they're good, hate their games when they're bad, and just be realistic. I was the most obsessive Nintendo collector. Everything Nintendo, anything that had Nintendo on it, I tried to purchase, and I got a lot of it, and that's why I have this giant collection. And after a while, I grew out of it, and now I just have a pile of things I don't care about in the garage. So I would much prefer kids and recommend that kids be more varied and do different things. Like, I was so obsessed with Nintendo, I didn't play basketball, t-ball, soccer, football, any sports. I didn't go outside. I didn't ride bikes. I didn't hang out with friends very much. When I was hanging out with friends at school, I was talking about video games. I mean, I was super OCD about video games. Every day, every conversation, Nintendo and video games. I'm still, every day, every conversation, still talking about video games, but at least now I've converted it into something that looks like a job. But yeah, let's just move on. There's a game called Hotel Spring that came out April 13th. It looks like a cheap demo project, and so nobody's bought it. It's 40% off for $2.39. No reviews because nobody's bought it. Moving on. Next game we had on April 13th was called Infecto, which looks like a top-down shooter that's zoomed in too much. and at the wrong angle. It's like a directly top-down shooter, and it looks bad, then that's probably why nobody bought it. No discount, $8.99. No reviews. PC PC Gamer has an article, why is it so hard to stop cheating in video games? You probably don't need to read this article to know the reason why it's so hard to stop cheating is because there's people making money and investing time to create new cheat tools. And it's just software security in a nutshell. It's pretty much impossible to put enough resources to make something 100% bulletproof. Harvest Moon Light of Hope Special Edition launches June 22nd in Europe. A delay from the previously planned May release window. I believe this Harvest Moon game is, let's see, it's for the PS4 and Switch, but I don't believe it's actually from the actual creator of Harvest Moon, and I don't think anybody liked it. For people who've seen it. But if it sounds interesting, keep an eye out for that. Close that. Valkyrie Chronicles 4 for Switch delayed to the fall in Japan. Valkyrie Chronicles 4 includes a voucher to download the original game for a reduced price. That sucks. Like, you'd think you'd want to get the original game for free. Let's see. Valkyrie Chronicles 4 launched on the PlayStation 4 on March 21st, and it will launch on the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch in the fall for America and Europe. Yeah, was pretty sure Valkyrie Chronicles would come to the West. Let's see, I'm slowly closing out tabs, and I don't think I have that many more, and we've already done the daily quests. So, like, the only thing left to do is if anybody has an Asian account, friend me on the Asian account. We've got to find somebody that will challenge me. That's what we're looking for. Like, challenge a friend. Let's see. There's a game on Steam that came out the 15th called One Ping Only. And see, I didn't even filter out games. So, the fact that I just don't have any of these. Let's see if this guy will respond. He probably won't if he's forging an arena deck. One Ping Only is like a submarine game. Oh, sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. He actually accepted. Well, One Ping Only is free, so I guess you can't really complain about the price. It's rated 100% for 30 user reviews, which seems a little high, but okay. I guess if you want to play a submarine game with some bad graphics, One Ping Only is alright. And doesn't interest me at all. Let's see. Lemon Lover says, in all seriousness though, what kind of Nintendo memorabilia do you still have? That's like my dream. I have tons of stuff. A considerable amount of gold, actually, because there was a Pokemon gold coins. I don't know if they're actually worth anything because they were just gold plated things. I have boxes and boxes of Pokemon League activity sheets from Toys R Us. I have 3 stand-up displays that are all in pretty terrible shape because they were made out of cardboard and designed to be destroyed after a couple of weeks. I have cameras, hats, Pokemon dolls. Half of the collection was Pokemon stuff because it was right when Pokemon happened. I have shampoo, cereal. The one thing I don't have a lot of is actually games. I probably only have about 20 or so of my actual original NES games. I never got a Super NES, or if I did, I got it so late I never actually played it, so I don't believe I own a Super NES at all. Nintendo 64. A lot of the consoles, barely any games. They probably none of them would run anyways. There's t-shirts, just toys in general, comic books, Nintendo Power from issue 100 to the final issue that Nintendo Power ever released, I believe, in pretty bad shape. Everything's kind of in bad shape, to be truthful. And so I kind of wonder if I just dropped it off on the doorstep of a video game museum, if they would just throw something else. The biggest thing by far that I have is an original Donkey Kong arcade cabinet that's in terrible shape. But last time I tried to turn it on, it worked. All the side art on the Donkey Kong arcade cabinet is missing. But it's the original Donkey Kong arcade cabinet, from best I can see. In fact, it has like a special issue number, so it was just slightly over, I believe, the 500th unit that was ever made. That's maybe the most expensive thing I have too, but maybe not. Just tons of things. Nintendo was really, really happy to put their logo on a lot of stuff. Puzzles. There's a couple of board games. Like things that certainly if they were in a museum and you saw them, a lot of them you would have never known existed in the first place. But I really don't care about any of it now. I really don't. It's become this burden. It's just that boulder you have to push up the hill. I've had to move houses 2 or 3 times with it already. I've had to spend hundreds of dollars on packaging and bubble wrap and stuff, just trying to make sure things don't get damaged more. And try not to damage things. I've spent years and years trying to organize and sort things because it was never really in a good sorting order. It's too much. Like, it's half a garage from floor to ceiling. So take a, let's say, 13-foot by 10-foot room, wide room, and give it 10 feet tall. That's 1,300 square, like 1,000 square feet, cubic feet of stuff. I've had to buy like Rubbermaid shelves to stack the boxes on to try and organize it. Like I had a house and the house was overrun with it in the dining room, in the formal room, in the bedroom, in the computer room. Every single room, on every single wall were cabinets with Nintendo stuff. It was just too much. And too much for my parents to buy me, honestly. Like, my parents, probably a little too rich for their own good, honestly. And they shouldn't have bought me that stuff. And they did say no every now and then, but they said yes a lot of times when they shouldn't have. But it was also the only thing that kept me happy too. I was so obsessive. I probably would have been diagnosed with Asperger's if I was a kid today. Let's just spectate this guy while I talk. Lemon Lover said, I do agree with the nostalgia view on Nintendo, though it's true. It's because it was people's first that made them stay so popular. Yeah, you never forget your first love. That is certainly true. It took me well into my adulthood to come to that realization. I only got a few articles, so we're just going to spectate this guy and then wrap up today's stream. Apparently, the PC version of the game Agony will have an optional patch to remove console censorship. Agony, I believe, is the one game that has all kinds of violence, torture, and nudity in it, so that was kickstarted. I don't... like... I guess this was a Kickstarter post, and they said they were going to tone it down for the consoles so they don't get an adult-only rating, which is kind of surprising that they wouldn't just embrace the adults-only rating, because Agony is certainly selling itself on being that extreme. Yeah, I clicked on the Kickstarter post. And like the demons in Agony, some of the demons have like grotesque, monstrous heads and bodies, and yet the breasts look very human. And there's a naked guy being crucified. And here's some bloody toes. I guess for all those toe fetish people out there. Like it's a game set in hell, and it's trying to depict the most hell you could possibly do. Very much an H.R. Giger style of animation, so I don't know why they aren't just gonna go for adults only on console, but they probably can't even get released on console if that's the case. Let's see. There's a warning at the beginning of the trailer. The problem with Agony, though, is every gameplay element I've seen seems to be barely just a walking simulator with maybe some puzzles and kind of nothing else. Yeah, the trailer, somebody just gouged out an eye and bit off a head, the head of somebody. Like, I do want to see when Agony comes out what kind of game it actually is. I'm very interested in it. There's another game that looks rather similar to it, coming out pretty much at the exact same time. Some of these gameplay elements and trailers I haven't seen. I'm not really on the hype train of this because, unlike even, what was it? The Dante's Inferno game that Vigil Games made, I believe Vigil Games made Dante's Inferno. Like, that game had platforming and fighting and an actual gameplay mechanics. This doesn't look like this. This looks like it is going to be action sequence by action sequence in every trailer, but it might, now that I'm looking at this gameplay trailer, it might also be this weird Bioshock-esque game. Wouldn't it be crazy if Agony was the new Bioshock game? That instead of setting it in Rapture, they just set it straight in hell. It's kind of surprising that Doom wasn't more like Agony, too. Yeah, that would have kind of made some sense. This is weird. PC Gamer re-released an article about the dumbest armor in PC gaming history, but they had already done that. So, or they had done an article very similar to that. But apparently they got somebody who makes armor in the real world to put their comments on their already written article. That seems like a cheat. Like, that really seems like a cheat that you could... I wish we could watch them open the card packs. That would be cool. write an article and then get somebody to react to your article and then do that. Anyways, did I say the point of talking about agony is there'll be an optional patch to remove the censorship? Yeah. No duh. The nude mods or patches, however it is, depending on whether or not the nudity was originally in the game or not. Let's see. Lemon Lover said, Rydo, I'm a few minutes behind the stream, but you just said you have a giant collection and you don't care about it in the garage. I want to see this collection. It's killing me, Lo. I'm currently about 8 minutes back listening to your list of items, Rydo. Don't give it to a museum, Lo. That's... I'm drilling over this list. I'm totally jealous, haha. That's the appropriate mature thing to do, is to give it to a museum. The inappropriate thing would be to just throw it away, which I've certainly thought about that too. But the one thing that stopped me from giving it to a museum, the Nintendo stuff to the museum so far, is I'm still trying to figure out which is the best museum. I think the National Video Game Museum would be a good choice, but I would have to certainly talk to them and make sure they take donations. They can handle a large collection. It'd be nice if maybe they put my name on a gold plate for donating all of that stuff. That's kind of all I would want. It'd also be nice if I could sell all of it and make millions of dollars, but that's not realistically going to happen. But by putting it in a museum, I enrich the future generations. More people can see it. By having it in my garage, and nobody's enjoying it right now. PC Gamer says Shenmue 1 and 2 are coming to PC with updated graphics options. They're not really like full remasters, but it is kind of nice to have Shenmue 1 and 2 come out before Shenmue 3 on PC. It's nice to see the Japanese market embracing PC more and more, as they seem to be doing. Do we have somebody else we can spectate? I get Shenmue and Yakuza mixed up because they both look a little too similar for me. So I get them mixed up in my mind, and I'm not sure if I'm super interested in either one of them that much. Your Gamer had an article, PUBG's time-limited team deathmatch mode war is now live. This was the 13th when this came out, so this may already have come and gone. Apologies if it has. We already talked about that game. We already talked about that game. Every single game opened twice. Yep, we talked about all of those. Let's see. A new Sakura Wars game was announced. It'll be released simultaneously in Japan and Asia regions. More information about the project will be announced during the presentation that will be held at some point in the future. That's not actual facts. That's a press release to announce a press release to announce a press release. Okay. Oh, speaking of Asia, there's an importer called Play Asia. That if you want to get Japanese games and you can't, you would import them through a company like Play Asia. And a bunch of, as I understand it, just to quickly touch on another one of these SJW stories, a bunch of SJWs tweeted Play Asia and complained about them importing Japanese sex games, visual novels, and things like that to America, calling it child pornography like they always do. Any animated kid or any animated character that looks too young to them, regardless of any other factor or the fact that they're not real people in the first place, gets labeled as child pornography. And sadly, in some countries that is the case. In some countries it isn't. At the very least, it's a rather nebulous thing. And so they were complaining to PlayAsia about that, and then PlayAsia, I think, had enough of that and said, look, we know our audience, we know our sales, we are selling to people who want to buy these products. It's a niche company selling niche products, and they charge a high price usually for import products. And so they ignore them, and then all the SJWs on reset era, which is what NeoGAF's SJWs went to, are trying to run a boycott against PlayAsia, which I'm sure will hurt it so much, considering nobody on reset era probably has ever ordered anything from PlayAsia at all. I have never ordered anything from PlayAsia, so like you can't boycott something you weren't spending money on in the first place. That's kind of the problem in general. Is and I say good on PlayAsia because most Japanese companies bend over backwards and just don't release games to the West when people come complaining. Here's a game that somehow is rated very positive. 85% of 138 reviews. It's called Idle Adventure. It's on came out April 13th. What is this? What is this tagged as? Early access, free to play, adventure RPG. But it looks like just a bunch of stats and numbers, all in traditional Chinese, simplified Chinese. Yeah. Online multiplayer, in-app purchases, early access, free to play. Well, it doesn't support English, so I guess that's the interesting. But being a Chinese game and just showing me a bunch of numbers and text doesn't strike me as a visually appealing offer. Like, you've really got to get your game to be visually appealing, and this does the opposite. Idle Adventure is a text-based multiplayer online RPG game. Even without astonishing graphics or a special effects, it offers you countless hours of enjoyment. You know what it looks like is it looks like a decent game that you could probably play in school, play in school at work and not get caught because of the graphics not showing. Let's see. Lemon Lever came back on, and he's all caps now. Don't throw it away, Rydo. Sell some to me, haha. I would make you pay me like $5,000 to $10,000 and shipping and handling to mail it all to you, or deliver it in a truck to you, and then you would have to sort through it, and you'd have to go through all the garbage things you don't care about. Nah, I don't think I'll be selling it. Like, I've had it for many years. I think I'm happier giving it to a museum where it would be treated a little bit better. PC Gamer has an article. Gwent release set for October, but a full redesign is coming. I think it's probably too little too late for Gwent to get a full redesign. Like, let's say Gwent got really good and it was better than Hearthstone and people were more interested in playing Gwent. I'm too late to play Gwent. It would just be too hard to get into a new game like that. If I'm going to get into a new game, I will have to be from day one. And it would have to be something really obvious that it's going to be popular. Gamasutra has an article. EA, Electronic Arts, shakes up its executive team to sharpen focus on creative core. Mostly this was a apology during a shareholders meeting, I believe, where they're saying they promoted a bunch of people and moved people around. They didn't really fire or really shake up the executive team too much. EA for years has been one of the worst or most hated companies ever, and I think they fully embraced that. So I think their platitudes and their apologies, until we see real action to go along with that, and we don't see another Shadow of War type game or Battlefront game, until they put out some good products, not full of microtransactions, I don't believe their claims of them moving to be more creative and more consumer friendly. Let's see. Lemon Lover said, okay, well, I don't have an extra 10K on me, but man, that's quite the list. That's kind of just the stuff that's off the top of my head. So there's a decent amount of little things, I'm sure. But I'm sure you could probably let your imagination go wild and think that there's a lot more than there is. And the vast majority of it is memorabilia and toys, not games. So a lot of it may not be worth too much, or it might be worth quite a lot because it was rare. Like, unlike the dolls with the tags on them, what were those called? That people still sort of collect those, that they made tons of, or comic books after the first few generations of comic books. A lot of people bought things speculating, thinking that they would be very expensive in the future, and there's so many of them still around that they really don't have any increase in value. Whereas a lot of the Nintendo stuff I have was probably pretty limited run stuff. Yeah, I have some of the stuff from like the Nintendo Power shop. So I think I have a GoldenEye 64 watch that has holographic health and life bars like the watch was in the game. That probably was a pretty limited run thing, so I wouldn't be surprised if that has some value. But then there's also copycats and clones of that all over the place, and now with makers you could make something that looks better, works better, and in every way is better than the original. Moving on, there's a game on Steam that came out the 13th called The Crimson Defense. It looks like mostly an asset flip. Let's see, 40% off for 59 cents. Let's see. I think we can leave here. We don't need to spectate any more games because we are done. It's not video games, but the Humble Store has 6 more days on its Vegas Pro Discover Create Freedom software bundle. So if you wanted Music Maker 80s edition, photo manager software, a sound pool, let's see, like Zero Photo Design. Some of these software I haven't heard of, but if you spend $20 you can get Vegas Pro 14 Edit, and I think that's probably worth collecting alone for $20. So if you wanted to be a content creator, that kind of stuff would be cheap to get at the Humble Store and donating to charity. The Humble Strategy Bundle has 7 more days to go. If you pay more than the average of $7.03, you get a bunch of stuff. If you pay $12, you get everything. I think Tooth and Tail at the $12 tier is the one that would catch my attention more than anything else. And let's go back to my Twitter now and see if anything new has happened. Let's see. Lemon Lover said, if you had old Game Boy stuff, I'd actually considering that specifically. I actually love anything Game Boy. I have probably 4 or 5 Game Boys, depending on what you define as a Game Boy. Like, I probably have 2 of the originals, and then 2 or 3 of the smaller ones, and or the color ones, and then the flip up one that was really small. I'd probably have one of those. Yeah, there might be as many as 10 Game Boys in there, but not a ton of games. But I'm not gonna. That's the problem, is I'm not gonna spend the time to go and dig through the pile to find the one thing somebody wants. Like, I'm not running a shop here. And then he says, "Okay, I'll stop bothering about Nintendo memorabilia, lol." And then Lemon Lover says, "Right home. Okay, I'm back on the Nintendo stuff. I've been looking for Game Boys to collect, and you have multiple smiley faces. Go on eBay. You can find Game Boys. They're probably broken. There's definitely Game Boy parts and cases. A lot of people trying to put Raspberry Pis into Game Boy cases, which is kind of a nice retro thing to do. But I kind of question whether having your hands so close together like the original Game Boy feels good, particularly when you have to add so many extra buttons. Alright, scrolling down the Twitter. We can talk about that news next time. PC Gamer says the Lost in Space Netflix game looks a lot like the Mass Effect TV show. I wouldn't be surprised if they pivoted it. You could probably get away with doing that pretty easily. It's like, we're making a Mass Effect TV show. Oh no, Mass Effect Andromeda sucks. Let's make a Lost in Space TV show. That also keeps your copyright for Lost in Space, so you can continue to sell DVDs of the originals to old people that want to watch that. Scrolling down. Apocalypsis is a point-and-click adventure that creeps me the hell out, according to PC Gamer. We'll talk about that Wednesday. Gamasutra has a video building a community around PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I don't know how much of a community you can make there. Killer Plants rule the world in this roguelike called Juicy Realm. We'll talk about that Wednesday. Let's see. PC Gamer is giving away 2,000 PUBG Savage beta keys. I think you probably are going to have to sign up to the monthly Patreon system to get them, but check it out if you're interested. Scrolling down. Google Play under investigation by the South Korea's FTC for market abuse. Well, it looks like Google Play is going to get a fine. Let's see. Lemon Lover said, I have the flip up SPs, but man, I've been looking for the older ones too. We have this guy, Exacto the Fellow. Hey dude, fight me on Hearthstone. What the fuck, a joke? I enter pie and flip. I join stream and I enter pie and flip. I have 1 pocket and 2 SPs, but the originals and colors I've been looking for are just so expensive online for working ones. Alright, Exacto the Fellow, if you want to play me on Hearthstone, look in the description and friend me on Hearthstone. Tell me, are you on the Americas, European, or Asian account? And we'll do this. But you're going to have to do it pretty quickly because I'm about to wrap up the stream. As I'm scrolling down my Twitter, seeing if there's any more news, video game news to talk about. Ubisoft may be hinting at Watch Dogs 3 is on its way. Seems a little early. A little bit early to be doing Watch Dogs 3s. Alright. So he says he's on the Americas account, which by the way doesn't just include North America, it's all of Americas. North, Central, and South. Extello the fellow. Okay, that's how you pronounce his name. Let's see. Holding sign up will gift Steam games for Game Boys, lol. I'd make you buy my entire wish list of 800 plus games. Alright. So here's my battle.net code. Add me as a friend. Send me that friend request. And we'll play Extello. Yes, the Mega Drive Mini. You know, the Mega Drive Mini might be better to put a Raspberry Pi in than the Nintendo Mini because of just how much bigger that console looks like it is. But there was also problems with the Nintendo Mini and its short controller cords and the new connectors instead of the old connectors. I really assumed that you would have been able to plug in an original NES controller into the Nintendo Mini and it still worked. 3 hours ago, Strider number 4 aired on my channel. So we're only about a week into a good starting on point to go back and watch everything for this series. I also made episode number 1s on my main YouTube channels, so people can specifically look at the first episode of any series and say, hey, this interests me, and then they can go to my playlist and follow more of it. Doesn't seem like there's anything news-wise to happen here. Where are you, Extello? Let's see. What's your name and code? It's in the description, and it's right on screen right now. I'll leave it on. But I'm going to give you 5 minutes. 5 minutes from the point where I say this. And if you're not friended, if you haven't friended me and accepted a friend request at that point, we're going to have to end the stream. And I guess I'll talk about news while we're doing that. So the ex-Crystal Dynamics chief has joined the Microsoft Studios executive team. There's somebody, so I assume that's him. And see, he's rank 13 versus my rank 20, so this is not going to go well for me. There we go. So what do I want to play? Freeze Elemental sounds like a deck that I didn't build. I bet I did build it. Let's play Secrets. Secrets has got my attention. This will be the last game I play today, so apologies if anybody else wanted to play me. I'll be back Wednesday. I've been talking almost every day for probably 9 days now. Taking half a day off would be nice. Let's see. Apocalypsis is a point-and-click adventure. It looks like a old Japanese art style when on like rice paper. But it could also just be an old scroll art style. It's not really Japanese art. It's just black and browns. Come on, come on. Enough of that. The music for this game is from a Polish metal band, Behemoth, and it seems to be like during the Inquisition. And see, there's a guy getting tortured in one of these point and click scenes, and it looks like I'm probably trying to steal the jailer's key. This was right up my alley for a point and click adventure game to play on in October. Yep. Apocalypsis, mostly positive, 79 out of 34 reviews, came out February 28th, and I missed it. Probably because I wasn't looking at every game that came out back then. Let's see. Taunt and Lifesteal. Lemon Lover said, I've got to go, Rydo, good talking. Bye, Lemon Lover. Let's see. Killer Plants rule the world in a bullet hell roguelike called Juicy Realm. When is this game coming out? Let's see. Steam page coming in 2018. Alright, well. This game does look interesting, but I'm not sure how much I want to play a bullet hell shooter. So, I'll probably wishlist that game, but reconsider it later. And that puts me in a rather good position. Can I do this? And that? No. So, let's do that. PC Gamer is tweeting the same thing that it already tweeted. I don't know why they do that. I guess it works for him. If somebody told me there was a way to post your videos twice on YouTube and it would get you twice as many views, I would do it. But in all honesty, I'd probably just irritate my fans even more. I put out 4 or 5 videos every day, and even as somebody who has clicked the notification bell, I'm not 100% sure that I always get notifications from the YouTube app on my phone when a pre-recorded video goes live. But I also don't know how to slow down, because if I slow down I make less content, and that doesn't really work for anybody. There's so many games I'd like to play and criticize, and right now being stuck on Darksiders 2 is killing me and filling up my hard drive now because I'm stuck on Darksiders 2. This is one of the Witchwood cards that decks that I built. It actually doesn't feel too bad. Okay, new tweet from PC Gamer. Man, they are the #1 channel that I would like to not have. Like I'd really like to stop following PC Gamer on my Twitter feed, but they make the most original content that I know of right now, and half of their articles are tolerable. I'm certainly not gonna do Giant Bomb, which doesn't really tweet any articles, and I'm not going to do Polygon or Kotaku or IGN. So I'm looking for smaller sources, certainly. I'm getting a lot of the news also from YouTube or other sources, which then doesn't end up on my Chrome browser, which is kind of a problem. Okay. So we do this, and then this, and then that. Attack here. Attack these guys. And I think I've got this, unless he's got a 4-card solution. Nice that it actually succeeded. I haven't gotten to play these new decks very much because of the new daily quests not really being built around victories. And I guess they haven't done the Challenge a Friend update where you can borrow people's cards or decks, unless I just missed it. Like, maybe it was over here you could borrow your friend's deck, or maybe you have to be in a fireside brawl to do that. But that is something that they're going to add, I know. There we go, victory. Ah, he wants to borrow your deck. Share? No way. Sure, we'll share. So how do you borrow decks? Wait a minute. Ah, you click it here. Interesting. 1 turn kill clock hunt. Your face seems odd. Classic druid, custom warrior. Interesting. So you can borrow decks. Now when I go and do this, I can go back and forth. Interesting. Well, today I learned. That's gonna be it for this stream. Thanks for playing me. It's always fun to play people, but I'm gonna call it a day. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because all of that helps me out with YouTube. No, that was the only game for today. Maybe Wednesday. When you subscribe, please click the notification bell, even if you don't think you need to. If you want to support me even further, then like, sharing, and subscribing. Friend me on Steam and gift me a game or a gift card. That helps me have more games to cover and makes it a lot easier. Nope. I can click deny all day. And if you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below, thanks to Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net. If you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Tumblr, you're probably seeing the same messages, so whichever one you prefer. If you're friending me on Steam, Battle.net, or Steam or Battle.net, you're probably not getting any messages about videos. You're just friending me on those. That's it for this recording. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.